pilots and their teams have spent months formulating race strategy, new techniques, new aircraft, and the spirit to win the gold at this spectacular, unlimited, and AT6 event. Just north of Fresno, California, is the quiet farm town of Madera, and just 3 miles northwest of Madera, at 253 feet above sea level, is the Madera Muni Airport, the home of the 1992 Unlimited and AT6 races. Pilots and crews began unloading their aircraft bright and early Wednesday morning. Aircraft of magnificent lines began appearing with dazzling color schemes, excellent detail, and quality workmanship. Once the crews escorted their racers through the watchful eyes of the tech inspection, they quickly moved their aircraft to the engine run-up area for critical fine-tuning. Other crews were checking out radios and conducting control surface checks. While checking retract pressure tanks was important, so was the installation of special props. In other areas of the pits, crews concentrated on proper operation of retractable landing gear, engine RPM checks. Others were making complete engine changes, conducting last-minute checks, going over well-rehearsed checklists.
Oh, okay. It's all right, let it go. It won't go anywhere.
No, I know it won't. Well, let me take a look at it. Right. Where's Dick?
After hours of preparation, the pilots were ready.
Fly, run, or you ask them for permission to come down on the qualifying run. Make sure that they know you.
What do we get? How many laps?
You get 1 lap.
And then I ask for some.
And then it's 2 laps to qualify.
Okay. What is the licensing? I mean, you just fly it up there and...
You're just flying it.
And then when we say ready to qualify, we get 3 laps. First lap don't count.
Right.
After weigh-in, the pilots were now ready to qualify. Some of the early birds were intent on getting into the air, and Joe Zimmerman was a good example in race 23 with the colorful Black Widow Racing Team's new AT6. Wednesday and Thursday were sunny days, complicated by gusting winds up to 25 miles per hour. The strong winds did not prevent the eager racers from trying their skills around the course. One of the first up to qualify was Leonard Nurad from San Jose, California, with race 14, an unlimited Stiletto P51. Right behind race 14 was Leo Prescott's race 30 from Tucson, Arizona. Leo was running a Moki 3.6 inline twin and was experiencing some engine difficulty. While the unlimited aircraft were qualifying, a new breed of racer at this race was making its debut, the limited AT6 class. The AT6 class had a minimum weight of 25 pounds dry, a stock Genoa G62 engine, and stock issued propeller. Each AT6 prior to any flight was defueled and filled with race-approved fuel supplied by Powermaster. Before refueling, each racer was weighed to verify the 25-pound minimum and the 40-pound maximum. The quality of race aircraft was greatly improved from previous unlimited races. Also more noticeable this year was the beautiful detail, craftsmanship, and color in the new AT6 class. The actual qualifying times were calculated by Cal Orr, the contest director, and 3 judges. They were positioned directly in line with the start-finish line. Frequency control, transmitter impound, and the spectrum analyzer was in competent hands with John D. Armour and Jack Albright. A unique touch was the radar speeds provided by Fred Bergdorf from APC Props, and the spectators really liked Fred's speed sign. Qualifying and new pilot licensing continued throughout Wednesday and Thursday. And the teams proved they were plenty tough as they battled tight nerves, a surplus of adrenaline, and gusty winds. Some of the first day's landings weren't pretty, such as Richard Verano with race 187 and Scott Broughton as he slides race 516 in safely. Some of the teams didn't fare as well, as Roger Grethier's team member points out.
Yeah, we're going to try and cover some of them. What happened? Was it radio, mechanical, what?
No, we had radio problems on this one over here. That's what did it in, but the one that's all nice and pretty, we had no adhesive glue, didn't take. Okay. And it just peeled off in the air, and this came fluttering down, and
No, was it wrapped with glass?
Yes, yeah. This was all glass. It was also sheeted, but where the foam wings were glued on, it also had a spar, as you can see. But see, it pulled all the foam out right here. We had good glue contact here, but you can see, at least half of the surface area wasn't even glued.
If they're not glued, they'll never take the turns in the pylons.
No, and what's odd though is we had 6 flights on the plane, and I've been pulling it around real tight on practicing pylons, and but it didn't handle it today.
What times did you turn? What were your speeds?
We didn't even make it that far.
Okay.
We were still in the practice laps, and he was bringing it down, getting it ready for the first pylon turn, and we didn't even have the gun on it. It was running good, but what can I say? Here's a nice
All the engines are the same,
G60.
aren't they? That's part of the requirement here?
All G62, all stock.
All engines have to be stock.
We had Max products help us a little bit on the header here and stuff.
Max? Is this Max?
Yes, that's Max products there. Yeah, that's stainless steel.
What size prop are you guys running? They're all
Everybody's
the same,
running 2210.
They supply that.
They were, there's what's left of it. Yeah, it was supplied. And RC Country Hobbies in Sacramento is the one that was the deep pocket on the whole thing. So, yeah, that little sign right up there. And he has really helped us out an awful lot. He's a really good guy to do it. Yeah, we might could build one and get one back in the air by race time tomorrow.
How soon can you have it fixed?
Yeah, right. Well, if we can find somebody with a fuse and another wing half, we'll see what we can do.
Paul Curley from Los Angeles, California, entered his third unlimited race with race 11, an all-Sachs 5.8 cubic inch powered Nosen P51. Paul had it all sorted out, and since the first Madera race, was believed by his fellow racers to be the most improved pilot. The DW aircraft-sponsored race 516 was back in the air for another qualifying run after some quick landing gear repairs. Qualifying went fast. Pilots experiencing problems had plenty of time to correct a malfunction and get into the air and on the clock. The popular Bob McClung's Dago Red, with Rich Pascaletto as the pilot, did just that. One of the most disappointing situations was that of Scott Manning, a noted fast time sort of guy, and entered with the RCD-sponsored Unlimited G59 Fiat. And Unlimited it was. With an awesome Arrow 200 twin wedged in the cow, Scott and his team anxiously awaited an opportunity to get this hot rod on the course, and so did everyone else. As the crew member wheeled the G59 to the takeoff line, our cameraman followed the short life of race 64. Kent McKenna was the caller for Scott. Scott Manning, an accomplished pylon pilot, faced a staggering disappointment. He walked away to collect his composure and ask Kent McKenna what went wrong. Scott now is faced with a question in every pilot's mind after a crash. How bad is it?
Well, it's not too bad. Back half looks good, front half looks good, but the one in between them looks suspect.
It's only broken in half. There's torch. Yeah, a bit too much power. Being has such a large engine, it just did a torque roll to the left, and wind caught it, and wasn't much I could do. The torque was too strong. But the airplane, all three airplanes of this design didn't make it this weekend. So it's back to the drawing board for this plane. But I still think it has high potential. So maybe we'll try again someday.
And with a forced smile, Scott Manning confirms that he will be back.
Back over the center, the green one.
Back again was last year's Madera second-place winner in the Unlimited Gold, John Crone, with the Miller Crone Racing Team's Aero 100-powered Nosen P51. After a successful qualifying run and on final approach, John got a little dirt on his nose. Race 72 was fine and would return for another qualifying run. Other landings were not quite as gentle, as Ted Burns in race 151 demonstrated. Robert Heitkamp, all the way from Juneau, Alaska, had a great qualifying run working in the race 61 AT6 when pylon number 3 reached up and grabbed his aircraft. Race 61 did reappear, however, did not make tech inspection, as you will see later on. Heitkamp's mishap obviously rattled Paul Black Sr. from Culver City, California. He was glad to get race 131 back to the runway. The crash carts were kept very busy during qualifying. Race 44, belonging to Dick Sizer from Crystal, Minnesota, was beyond repair. Dick's 8.4 cubic inch power plant left the airframe on a downwind 163 mile-per-hour pass. Dick then assisted our camera crews with interviews.
I see it take off. You're doing really good.
Yep.
All of a sudden, I see it disappearing.
Yes,
This thing was a speck. A speck in the sky.
It was going away. There's no doubt about that.
And I was wondering, is he going to bring it back, or is he going to range check his radio in the air? Obviously not. What happened? I mean,
What happened was we brought the power up as he came across the field. He says, okay, I'm going to come down on the course now. And I waited, and he says, well, I guess I'm not coming down on the course. And he says, I don't have it. And it was, as you saw, just flying perfectly straight away. And he took off running, and we pulled the power back. And as soon as he got a little bit of signal and the power came back, we got the aircraft back. But we had already shut the motor off, and with the wind and stuff, we couldn't get her back. So he did a real good job. As you saw, the aircraft came down, spun, did a 4-turn spin. He recovered from that and got it flared, and we just caught a berm on the ground out there. And had it not been for that, the aircraft survived dramatically well.
they absolutely lost radio contact.
Yes.
There wasn't any doubt in it.
Oh yeah, he had nothing. It was froze. It was just absolutely flying straight dead away. So that's what they say next year.
Isn't this the one that you had in Madera last year?
Yeah, we had a Madera last year, and we had a motor in here that wasn't real good. It was an A&M. The crankshaft sheared. The aircraft went tail heavy, and we got her down, but we damaged the wing. So 2 years in a row, the Madera bug has hit us. But we'll be back.
Qualifying times were coming to a close, and the activity in the racers' pit increased in tempo as pilots and crews replaced damaged or weak engines. Retractable landing gear, the culprit of many bad landings, received special attention. Crews were making changes to carburetor settings, fuel blends, flight control adjustments, all with the hopes of a higher speed out on the course. One fact remained for sure: teamwork was evident here at Madera. Also visible was the overpowering desire to achieve, to be the best, and most of all, to win. By Thursday evening, the top qualifying times were posted for both classes. At the top of the unlimited class was race 88, Mike Helsel at 36.22 seconds. Race 68, Don Albright, turned a time of 39.67. Race 00, Don Rice, came in at 39.82. Race 30, Leo Prescott, was clocked at 39.96. And Bill Hempel Jr., race 1AZ, last year's first place gold, clocked at 39.99. The new T6 class had an impressive lineup of top 5 qualifiers. Race 87, Dave Shadell smoked the course with a 57.81. Race 60, Charles Winter logged a 58.19. Race 23, Joe Zimmerman at 58.32. Race 55, Ralph Goodrich at 59.18. And Dale Rice, 002, made the top 5 with 61.08 seconds. During the heats and trophy races, the pilots will fly the 3/4 mile course. The heats will start on the back side and begin when the first aircraft crosses the start-finish line. The racers then head to pylon number 1, around the downwind side to number 2, and around pylon number 3 to complete a 3/4 mile lap. A new pylon turn call system was used at Madera this year. The pylon judges were positioned directly across pylon 1 and 2. As the aircraft cleared the pylon, each judge pressed the button which turned on that particular aircraft's light. The caller then gives the pilot the command to turn now. And the pilots go up on the wingtip and around the pylon. On Friday morning, the beginning of the heats was started with the national anthem. Welcome to the 1992 Madera Unlimited Races. And a very special thanks to George Normington and Chuck Fuller for flying the aircraft with the Zap Gang banner in tow. Zap, our major sponsor here at the meet, and the Zap Gang consists of Frank Tiano Enterprises, House of Balsa, and Robart. After 2 days of tech inspections, licensing, and qualifying, the racers were ready to race each other. Round 1, heat number 1, started out with the AT6 class. Bob McClung pushes out his Corsair, used as the pace plane. And race 87, 23, 002, and 17 made last-minute checks before John Elliott, the race controller, gave the signal to start engines. Jerry Kitchen now pilots the Corsair pace plane and will climb to altitude to lead this heat. Jerry will hear the command from race control, "Gentlemen, you have a race," and pull the Corsair off the course. The racers then will dive for pylon number 2. Once around pylon 2, they will pass number 3 and cross the start-finish line to start the race. The command has been given, "Start your engines," and the excitement builds as crews scramble to get their aircraft into the air. The first pilots up have the advantage to trim their aircraft for the race. Finally, a nervous Dave Shadell gets race 87 running. Okay, the press meeting is at the administration building now. Okay, aircraft to take into the air. Race 23 is airborne, Joe Zimmerman. The idea is to form up behind the pace plane. The pace plane will try to maintain an altitude of 150. And 87, Dave Shadell, airborne with one landing in between, but he's okay. Everybody has got the major pucker factor in the morning. Meanwhile, Ken Bryan's race 17 decides to quit, and the crew quickly gets Ken back into the air to make the heat. Well, you number 2. This is the critical one. This is the one that drops the flag. Pulling all the horsepower out underneath. It needs to be a photo finish, and the pilot's official positions are made official. They will be posted, and that has taken place down in administration building on the computer. It'll take a few moments to gather 3 or 4 heats, but they'll be back. 002, Dale Rice was the victor in this heat. Race 17, a photo second.
If they can't handle being picked up that way, they should.
Dale Rice asked the folks in the pits why someone did not inform him that his gear was down. And yet, Dale managed to pull a first place away from race 17.
And race 68 will be on a white light. And race...
Meanwhile, the race officials were working out the kinks.
They'll ask permission to start, taxi,
last lap.
Not to take off. Just not even the taxi, but just when they're ready. When we start, we're going to give them a 3-minute window when it's ready for them to start. Don't even worry.
This is a new system.
Tell them again.
It looks like
I told them, they asked me, do we ask permission to start? And I said yes.
They get that, but I will say, John, start your engines or something. They're going to give them permission to start. And the pace plane is airborne. That's when they 3-minute window. Okay, we're going to do it all on the line.
You do it all there.
We'll give them permission to start. As soon as the pace plane breaks ground, they have to be 3 minutes. 3-minute window.
It's going to stay in the air.
I'll make that judgment. Okay. You make that call. You tell me when the clock starts.
And then you guys will get them into the boxes. Pace plane pilot will be behind the boxes, flying pace. We'll be at.
And by the way, we're going to do it. The ones that are ready to fly, they're going out first. The project started ready to fly.
I'm going to coordinate with Sam that we start the race farther up on the line. That was uncalled.
That was
yeah. Okay, we're going to start it here so we can get the hell out of the way.
Well, by the same token, who makes that decision, Sam or one of us out here pointing at the airplane or something? Sam will do that.
Sam.
I'll call the race start.
Okay.
The thing that I didn't know what communication Sam had, and by the time we figured that out, we got halfway down the course.
Then you'll give Sam the heads up. Sam will announce it. I'll call it when Sam
You've got radio. Good.
All right.
Okay, you do that.
Okay.
Once the start procedures were smoothed out, heat number 2 in round 1 was underway with AT6s. John Elliott now will instruct the pilots on correct procedures. Let's listen in.
Do it. Now there's permission to taxi, so forth and so forth. We can take an awful lot of time out of it, as we found out in Tucson. We're going to go racing to hell with procedures that look cute. Okay. Obviously, pace plane, again, is the first man on the ground unless there's a mayday or something working. You'll obviously be able to hear over the PA system. Gentlemen, start your engine after everybody's formed up. Pace plane knows where to fly and so forth, as you've been briefed. Don't get lower than, don't get ahead of. The last start was just a bit delayed over there. This will be the gentlemen's. You have a race, as you hear it coming down here, pace plane will pull up, climb right. Any questions on that? We're going to get you moving and put the delay on the ground. We can take some the gravy out of it, get some meat and potatoes into it.
Point and go. They can take off straight ahead.
Gene Barton provides the pace plane for this heat as Big John gives the call to start engines. Heat 2 of the AT6s was comprised of race 60, 55, 68, and 11.
Race 55's got the go-ahead.
Race 55 is the first out for takeoff, and race 68 is right behind him.
Okay, looks like race
As the planes form up, Tony Arend is ready to give Gene Barton his cue to pull the pace plane up and away. As this race progressed, Ralph Braun in race 60 clearly dominated this heat. At the end of each heat, the pace plane is the first aircraft to land, unless a race plane has a mayday. Race 55 finished second in this heat, while race 60 captured the first place slot. And race 68 picks up the third place points. And it appeared that Ralph Braun, with race 60, was a pretty happy person after this heat. Heat number 3 in the first round presented the unlimited bronze for the first time Friday morning. The bronze represented the slower of the 3 unlimited classes. These aircraft were clocked at speeds of 95 to 105 miles per hour. The early Friday morning crowd was ready for speed as they patiently watched the start. As the bronze pilots waited for the start, the pace plane was headed for course altitude. Race 516, 4, 11, and 35 started their engines. Quite a few years. Race 4, Rich Pascaletto, was first to take to the air as race 516, Scott Broughton, taxied the DW aircraft-sponsored P-51 right behind him and awaited the release for takeoff. These aircraft have the horsepower that we... Curley in the red and yellow race 11 was also eager to get his nose in P-51 on the course as well. Okay, Paul Curley airborne using all 20 feet of the runway. Race 11 airborne. Okay, coming around the next time. Diego Lopez calls for Paul Curley as he fights off Rich Pascaletto in race 4. Rich was able to pass Paul underneath on the back side of the course, but Paul took the lead at the end of the heat. The results were race 11 first, race 4 second, race 516 not completing, and race 35 was a scratch. The silver class was the 4th heat in round 1, and the aircraft were definitely much faster. This heat featured race X1, 84, 70, and 72. Being provided by Robart and Zap. Race 70, piloted by Duke Crow, was having a problem, and the crew went into action. Races this weekend, and Robart also a supporting sponsor, provided this man. Robart and Zap. As the rest of the pack was busy starting their engines, the RCD team was screwdrivers and elbows as Duke Crow stood by nervously. As Duke watched the 3-minute start window, race 84, Brian Kai, was getting airborne. As race 70's crew investigated their starting problem, race X1, Joe Richland, was having problems of his own and could not get his aircraft airborne. This flameout prevented Joe from making this heat and resulted in a scratch for race X1. The tension was mounting as race 70 was really pushing the 3-minute window. However, it appeared the RCD team was determined to get Duke Crow into this heat. Finally, they possibly had the problem fixed as John Crone's race 72 was getting airborne fast with a short takeoff.
Still able to start on the 3-minute window.
With the precision of an Indy 500 pit crew, the RCD team was ready to prop race 70 with only seconds to spare. With the 3-minute clock running out, the race 70 crew was ready to get Duke Crow into the air fast. Once the crewman primed the carburetor, they were ready to breathe life into that big Arrow 200 twin engine. From there, the situation developed more tension.
Plane on. Let's go. Ready?
With no sign of ignition, the crew begins checking their procedures.
Turn on the ignition.
The situation appeared to have some humor. However, Duke Crow wasn't laughing. Instead, he and the crew were racing to get into this heat with only half of a second left on the 3-minute window.
And John Crow, in race 72, will be turning on the yellow light.
Once Duke received clearance from the flight line, he used as little runway as possible and climbed rapidly to join the pack.
That started in time.
Duke Crow went on to win that heat, and as Lady Luck made the call, race X1 was a scratch, with 72 and 84 disqualified for crossing the deadline on the course. The 150 kids from the local school were on a special invitation from the race promoters and were really enjoying the races, and the announcer had his hands full.
We have a Mayday on 72. He does have a dead stick, is cleared to land.
I'm going to use a lot more rudder this time. That's what I've been doing.
Once race 72 was down, the pilot John Crone was busy helping his teammate Mike Helsel start for the unlimited gold heat. Mike had the top time, and his crew was anxious to see him stay out in front. This was Heat 5 in Round 1 with race 00, 61, 68, and 88. These aircraft would reach speeds up to 148 miles per hour. Apparently, Don Rice's race 00 had some extra horsepower and stayed out in front for the whole race. Race 61, Robert Heitkamp was able to hold on to a fourth, as race 88, Mike Helsel settled for a second, with race 68 picking up the third place slot. Later that morning, we moved into round 2 with the second AT6 heat. In this heat, we had race 3, 4, 15, and 09. They were on the 3-minute window, and the ZAP-sponsored Lanier Stinger is used as the pace plane with Ron Gilman at the controls.
Stinger, Lanier Stinger pace plane. Ready to go, Ron Gilman at the controls. Sponsored by Robart and ZAP.
The winner in this heat was Bruce Brown in the yellow and black race 15. The Futaba-sponsored T6 proved reliable and fast throughout the weekend.
And now race 15 airborne. Got a great bunch of people out here. Let me tell you, we could not do it without their help. And the fellows that are stuck in the timing.
Mike Johnson Ford's race 09 takes to the air. Mike sponsored a fleet of really beautiful airplanes for the races. Now watch the action as race 15 leads the pack.
All staying clear of that pylon. All the lights are on. The Christmas tree is on. They're heading for the start-finish, signifying the start of the race. Watch the checkered flag. First one across is race number 4. Race 15 sneaking under into second place around pylon number 1. Well underneath race 4, race 15. Putting race 4 now in an unofficial second as they head around pylon number 1. Race 4 diving low to pick up the speed, but just not enough opening up the door even further.
Round 2, Heat 3 was the unlimited bronze again with race 1, 05, 09, and 14. Jerry Kitchen was first in line, followed by race 14 and Reno Clark's race 05. Early in the heat, race 09, Dan Santage had engine problems, and Dan did a good job of getting his aircraft down. Jerry Kitchen with the Red Corsair was first around pylon 2 and 3 to cross the starting line, and held a nice lead around pylon 1 down the backside. Leonard Nurad in race 14 was really putting the heat on Jerry and passed him over the top on the backside, but he was able to hang on to his first place win in the bronze class. Reno Clark in the yellow race 05 P51 had a tight grip on the third place spot as Leonard Nurad, race 14, had to settle for second place. Jerry Kitchen flew a clean, consistent race and gathered a valuable 12 points for a first in this heat.
My name is Herschel Worthy. I'm the representative of Pacer. We're involved in events such as Madera. This is our first year here at Madera to be a major sponsor. We're also involved in the other major sponsorships of events like Top Gun, Scale Masters. This year we're also doing the Memphis Belle. We're very thrilled to be here at Madera. It's a nice turnout. There's some wonderful planes and a lot of our customers that probably most 99% of the planes here today are put together with ZAP products. We just like to put something back into an industry that's been so good to us. This is a way to showcase, being sponsors of events such as this, it's a good way to showcase what our hobby is and attract more people. So we're very proud to be here and look forward to coming back in the future.
Herschel Worthy, a real country gentleman. The fourth heat in round 2 sported an unusual aircraft in race 62. This was Dave Breedy's second race to try and capture the title with his twin Tiger Cat. Also in this heat is race 9, 69, and 131.
Right behind them would be 1AZ. That's Bill Hempel Jr., 85. Bill Hempel Sr., 78. Larry Skiles. And
race control spent considerable time instructing first-time pilots entered in their first heat. Race 62's pilot, Richard Verano, verified the takeoff procedures with Big John Elliott.
We'll be holding up just for a few minutes while we get a full.
The signal was finally given, and pilots went through the motion of getting engines started inside the critical 3-minute window. Steve Parola had flight line control responsibilities and releases Don Canick's race 69 for takeoff. Don was running his precision Eagle twin engine in this aircraft and now had a chance to see what it could do. As the heat progressed, Paul Black Sr. stayed way out in front with race 131. Paul went on to take first place and made his builder, Phil Brittling, real proud.
A big one of those black machined metal jobs. We have it at the announce stand. And 131 is down. Nice trip around.
Behind race 131 was Don Canick's race 69 in the second place position with no points for race 62 and 9.
Okay, as we retreat, race 69 will be getting ready for the Gold Unlimited heavy metal guy. And Don is right behind.
During the fifth heat of round 2, Larry Skiles in race 78 cooks past Bill Hempel Jr.'s race 1AZ. As they bend around the pylon, notice the hanging gear on 1AZ. This may have caused some serious drag, placing Bill in second place. Larry Skiles' excitement in his first place win had a lot to do with his landing when he finally ran out of airspeed.
Real rough landing for Larry Skiles.
The Stinger pace plane smoke made it really easy for the pilots to line up for the start of this race. As we move into round 3, first heat with race 20, 69, 87, and 187.
Formula 1 champion for 1992.
Dave Shadell in race 87 led the pack with Tom Walker's race 20 in hot pursuit. Shadell opened up his lead on each pass until Tom Walker's Horn Dog Special was able to pull up on race 87 and hang on to the lead. The race finished up with race 20, Tom Walker first, race 87 second, and 187 in the third place slot. Shadell's great approach was only interrupted when his right gear folded, promptly placing his aircraft in the dirt.
Soft landing here on race 87.
The winner, race 20, proudly settles in and is followed by race 187, Dale Rice, as he pulls off a great save on his aircraft with just a little dirt on his head.
Looks okay. Dirt on his nose, but he'll do fine.
The second heat in round 3 for the AT6s was exciting as race 60 tried to take on a pylon.
Position is changing. And race 99 just barely under number 4. Up 4 over the top again. Race 99 taking it back. Race 99 and 4 battling out on the back side and up on the front. And a pylon reaches up and snatches 60 right out of the air. Moving high up on top of him is race number 4, but just not enough. Pushing down low on the dive to take it back. This will be their last lap around. Will it change again as they head for number 2?
As Gene Barton was landing his T6 pace plane, the judges made some changes to the outcome of this heat. Race 216 had the race, but cut too many pylons. This placed race 4 in the lead with no points to race 60 and 99. The pretty race 4, flown by Cliff Adams, held on to his first place lead and flew strong all weekend. Race 216 had to take a back seat with a second place and a ride in the dirt. Later in the afternoon, we were into the third heat of this round with race 1, 10, 11, and 58.
Okay, the 3-minute window is open. It's Jerry Kitchen pitching his nose down to pick up that critical airspeed to get away from Paul Curley. Here we go.
Jerry Kitchen leads the pack again, but race 11, Paul Curley was reeling him in and pulled it off right at the checkered flag. Your winner for this heat with no cuts was race 11. Paul Curley just accumulated another 12 points. Race 58, with 4 cuts, held on to the 4th place finish with some other results. The 4th heat in round 3 found race 62 with another attempt at gathering badly needed points. Dave Breedy held his breath as Verano worked very hard to get race 62 airborne. In the middle of the heat, the Tiger Cat had an engine problem and had crossed the safety deadline, leaving race 62 0 points for this heat. The winner of this heat was Joe Reichlin with his race X1. Watch closely as he lands Bob Hoover style on 1 gear and makes it look easy.
With that gear hanging out is really costing him a penalty, bringing up the rear. Real close.
Late Friday afternoon, we were well into round 4, heat 3 in the bronze when Kent McKenna ran away with the show in race 10. This is the Mike Johnson Ford Bearcat. Kent had his hands full with touchy controls, but was able to keep race 10 out in front. Kent still managed to pull a win out of this heat with the big Bearcat. Now he had to deal with landing gear problems. Race 10 was modeled from the famous Rare Bear Reno Racer. Kent landed on the belly so many times that the crew named race 10 Bear Belly. Unfortunately, this heat cost Gene Barton his beautiful AT6 when he had a battery failure. Later on, we asked Phil Brittling, the builder of race 151, what happened.
Well, what I seen and what I've seen, he was coming in for a beautiful landing and everything, and pretty soon the thing stalled up and the engine quit. And it was coming in and everything like that, and was flying just a little too slow. And the engine quit out there, and it couldn't forward. And then Paul reached up there to hit the switch, and when he did, he put, I think it was down trim or something. In other words, it stalled the airplane, and he, in the flyer that was flying, put down trim and tried to point the nose downward, and it just couldn't. So, in other words, it just kept going and flying and got about 1 or 2 feet off the ground and just fell, just like you just drop a rock and it hit the ground.
Pull the gear right out of it?
Knocked the gear right out of it.
Are you going to fix it here? Or are you going to take it
we're
going to
fix it. We'll take it. We're going to fix it here till it gets dark tonight.
Okay, and you'll be ready to go tomorrow?
Yeah, I'll be ready to go tomorrow. And then Paul Black, we lost the scoop, and it went on the other side of the runway over there, and Paul went after the scoop.
When are you going to give up building airplanes?
I've never, as long as it's been my hobby ever since I was 12 years old.
And you have to be
state of Nebraska.
50 years old now?
No, I'm 73.
Okay.
73, and I'm still out of the hobby.
Our man on the street, Dick Sizer, was able to pick Charlie Russ's mind on some new technology.
I'm part of the Check Right RC Products team out of Ocoee, Florida, just close to Orlando. And I'm here with our pilot, Jim Marizon, and another team member. And we have been testing our own coupling device with 2 3.2 Sachs engines. The coupler's been run on the test stand at length before we brought it here to the races, and we've developed a condition where we are torque loading props, or in some manner causing props to break. We did not experience this on the test stand, so it's something unusual, whether we're unloading in the air or whatever. We've come back and investigated our coupling device to see if we've mistimed our 2 engines, and we have not found a problem with the coupling device. We did find a ground strap that may have been giving us an ignition knock on one of the 2. This is the 3rd prop that we've had come unglued, if you will, in this process. The other 2 we did not have a coupler problem or an ignition problem. So I've been approached here just in the last 2 or 3 minutes with Fred at APC. I don't see him here now.
He wandered out.
He's very generously given all of us racers props with the intent of learning all that he can learn. He's approached me about using this engine in a series of safety tests funded by himself and the AMA to explore what sorts of things we can uncover as to why this particular combination of two 3.2 sacks are having the prop problem we are. We really don't know. When the prop holds up, we sure do fly good. There's just no question of that. Yes, these are the two that are coupled together to share with you our apparatus here. We literally time the crank on one engine. Special crank, of course, that's not a factory standard crank. And we couple it through this device here that rotates and is also keyed. And then we time it. We time it after it's keyed. It's a separate operation. And it's a two-step process that we go through so that we are timing as many factors as we think have to do with detonation and even running and what have you. The mount that we've made, we actually got off an Army tank, but it is what we found that holds everything in place. We've not had any problem with the mount. It doesn't look pretty, but it accomplishes one of our goals, and that is to shock load everything to the frame of the plane in an opposite direction to the typical piston going up and down. And we've been very successful. We've had very, very little vibration, very little shaking, even on idle or idle up. So we're pleased with what we've done. I hope we can all learn enough on this prop situation so that we can participate next year or in the next race and have some fun.
Well, I want to put some more.
By the end of the day Friday, the pits were humming with activity and comments.
Don't give away any secrets now.
No secrets, just go out there and fly the hell out of it.
This is one of our secrets. That's why we happen to be the fastest plane out there. And I'm trying to make sure that it stays that way.
Hey, Don?
Yeah.
Because ignition isn't working real well.
As Dick strolled the pits with Tim, our cameraman, it was very apparent that everyone was beginning to take this racing seriously. Well, almost everyone. Or maybe he was guarding Don Canick's race 69. After cruising the pits Friday evening, we leave Duke Crow with his new prop for race 70.
You wait for the lights.
Our crews were on the flight line bright and early Saturday morning. We were able to catch Ron Gilman with the Zap Gang Shooting Stars T-33 preparing for a test hop. The T-33s were to be used for pace planes, just like the full-size Reno Racers. We were plagued with fuel problems and the jets running so quiet that we could not hear the engines. Ron Gilman, however, was still able to dazzle the early morning coffee crowd with his usual smooth flying ability.
He'll be flying for us at lunchtime.
This great-looking T-33 was a Bob Violet models with a 70-inch wingspan and sure looked great in the air.
Gilman with the T-33A, your pace plane is successful, pilot, so you are a fast plane to follow around the crowd.
The crowd showed up early Saturday morning and were ready for the excitement that this day would bring. The day started off with coffee, the national anthem, and Chuck Fuller towing the Zap Gang banner with his Byron Originals T6. This was also Chuck's race plane. What a sportsman. While the pilots were in a meeting, some real iron showed up, and what a treat. This AT6 belonged to Randy DeFani of Reno race fame in his full-size Race 18. Randy is consistently in the gold and finished 6th this year in Reno, and Randy will put on an air show with smoke later on. Along with the beautiful AT6, we also had several aircraft flown in by the Pacer Technology crew. This flawlessly restored AT6 is a good example.
Texas were manufactured in the state of Texas more than anywhere else in the United States. And it just so happens coincidentally that also was where the majority of fields were located.
By round 5, Heat 3 in the bronze class, race 5-8, Gary Harold was fighting hard for a win. Scott Broughton in race 5-1-6 let it all hang out as he passes 5-8. Race 5-8 pulls ahead again, and for a short while, he led the heat. As they round pylon 1, you can see the black race 5-1-6 in hot pursuit. Reno Clark in race 0-5, always competitive, was not running up to his normal style this heat.
Somewhere out there is Reno Clark in race 0-5. I hope Reno's not waiting for the flag to drop Reno Clark getting the old sandwich job from Gary Harold in 58 and 5-1-6. Now out of the way and left. I think the order is going to change. It's tip to tip. Use that downwind dive to pick up some speed and close the gap, but it's just not enough. 4 laps down.
Now watch as Scott Broughton puts the move on race 5-8 at pylon 1.
Now Gary Harold looking at his tail feathers.
As 5-1-6 rounds pylon 2 and heads for 3, he captures the checkered flag for this heat.
With the checkered flag.
Race 5-8 is in the dirt with a no finish for this heat after leading the pack and giving race 5-1-6 a real challenge. Scott Broughton, the victor in this heat, once again with gear problems, lands in the dirt safely. The second place spot went to race 0-5, Reno Clark. As we work our way up to the 5th heat in round 5, race 0-0, Don Rice and crew obviously made some adjustments as he runs away from the pack. Don's approximate speed was 146 miles per hour, a 10-mile-per-hour increase from his heat yesterday. Race 30, Leo Prescott garnered a 3rd in this heat, but missed the runway. While our winner, Don Rice, pilots race 0-0 in for a smooth landing. Followed by the 3rd place winner, Lauren Tregalis, with race 25, with just a little scratch on his nose. The AT6 race in round 6, heat 1, provided the spectators their money's worth. J.R. Wilbur in the RCD race 2 led the pack with some low-level flybys.
Okay, in the lead we have J.R. Wilbur in plane number 2.
Meanwhile, right behind JR was race 002 with race 87, Dave Shadell, trying to pass the hard way. Now watch the instant replay and you make the call. Shadell's story in the pits may vary from yours. This crash really caused the crowd to pay close attention for the rest of the weekend. After all that excitement, we tracked down our technical advisor, Dick Sizer, in the pits. Dick was rummaging through the wreckage of John Eaton's P-51. This, at least, aside from humorous, gives you an idea of the lightweight construction of this aircraft. Well, Dick did not find anything useful. However, our future racers thought they would give it a try. Race 131's crew was pushing the clock to make repairs before their next heat. Duke Crow's crew was also busy completing some surgical repairs to race 70 as well. The gold heat in round 6 found Bill Hempel Jr. finally able to run at his usual pace, fast. Somewhere on the course, Bill slowed down and race 0-0 passed him by. Look closely and you'll see Bill's problem with 1AZ.
Okay, John Sawyer. Playing pretty good. Breathe fast.
Both ropes.
Bill's crew seemed amazed that he was able to hang on to a third-place win in this heat. Race 1AZ went into the repair mode and would return later to race again. Mike Helso with the popular Race 88 lands after his second-place win. This Miller Krone Sea Fury was sponsored by Power Master Fuels. And a winner again, Don Rice in the pretty race 0-0 as we head into the Saturday noon activities. The Saturday noon break started with RC Skydivers and the Race 18 T6 show. That's Leslie Burnett of the Unlimited team in Randy Defani's T6. Leslie will ride out Randy's noon show. Now, watch Randy down on the deck with Smoke On as he heads for pylon number 1.
Which was his first race. Smoke On, left to right. Randy Defani in race 18. Pylon number 1. So far, he's in the lead. Nobody on his tail because they can't see through the smoke. Of course, Randy could have used the smoke on the information stand.
Attendance was great for the noon shows Saturday, and everyone seemed to be enjoying themselves, some more than others. Especially Rob Wood from Model Airplane News. Rob is in one of the Pacer aircraft, and this one is an immaculate BT-13. Ron Gilman is starting the Zap Stinger pace plane for round 7, heat 1, featuring the AT6s. Kent Nogi steers the pace plane on this heat, and Big John Elliott snaps the flag for the start. Mike Adams in the trick-painted race 6 held the lead throughout this heat.
He'll keep it running to get all those points for those 6 laps.
Fred Bergdorf from APC Props had the gun on Mike on that pass, and Mike clocked 89 miles per hour. Mike Adams went on to win with race 17 slamming into a second-place slot, literally. The Dave Breedy crew with race 62 decided to try again in round 7, heat 4. Unfortunately, Murphy's Law was with Dave again, and race 62 sat this one out.
Out in front, John Crone in race 72.
John Crone in race 72 did manage easily to get into the air for this heat. John stayed in front on this one. The rest of the pack either scratched or ended up with a DNF. We later progressed into the Great Barbecue Saturday night with tri-tip steak and chicken. That's our tower cameraman, John Simone, auditioning our drink cashier, and she's not buying it either. While we enjoyed each other's company and had a great dinner, the local RC Club launched some really great night flyers. These big 4-stroke powered early timer aircraft were covered in clear monocoat. The lighting system was one of the best and made it extremely easy for the pilot to maintain orientation. After the pilots' meeting was announced for Sunday morning, we all proceeded to enjoy the evening and talk about the strategy for Sunday's racing. The 8:30 pilots meeting started pretty much on time.
Okay, we're going to get started with the 8:30 pilots meeting. but I think we have enough to complete the event.
This meeting would be critical for all the pilots and their crews. Everyone was informed of any changes in the racing for that day.
And I'm really proud of the way things have been running.
Cal Orr, the contest director, explained the medallion class, which basically permitted someone not qualifying an opportunity to race in case of a scratch. Of course, there was a lot of questions which the Unlimited crew were able to answer quickly for the pilots.
Makes enough points in both classes to fly both trophy races.
Can fill that slot.
Is what's happened in many cases, we've had people that have been out all night.
Once all the questions were answered, we went right to the flight line. Some issues still had to be resolved, and it looked like Nick Zaroli from the tech committee had his ears full regarding the medallion aircraft.
I'm third. Yeah. Nobody can take me out. So they want to put me up with 3 medallion airplanes. Why should I go up and chance this class when I'm already in the gold?
Right, it's true.
They put three medallion airplanes out there for me to race. Well, that's crazy. If one of them hits me and takes me out,
Jerry wants to get this race underway.
would you do it?
No. Out of the way. Mike Adams, race 6.
No, if it was a race, it would be one
sure.
thing. But
I could go up there. I could go up there and probably just clean your clocks. But so what? What if I get hit? Or what if?
Don decided the best way to stay away from the medallion beginners was to stay out in front. Race 68 won that heat, but Don could not get his gear down and completed another great belly landing.
And he's down. First one on pile number 1 is Chuck.
Round 8, Heat 2, found Chuck Fuller leading the pack with race 8. Race 4, Cliff Adams closed the gap on Chuck, taking first with Chuck in second.
Cliff Adams. 5 laps. To go. Cliff Adams' last trip around pile number 1 in that metallic checker AT6.
The gold heat in round 8 consisted of race 88, 25, 47, and 41. The crowd was all eyes on this heat. Mike Helso in race 88 is the first out, and Mike just squeaked by the start-finish pylon.
And barely missing the pylon. And not able to collect.
Race 88 was leading this heat.
It looks like Mike Helso in race 88 shedding parts.
Apparently, the magnificent race 88 developed a fracture at the aileron, which created enough flutter to rip the wingtip off of the aircraft. Race 25, in the meantime, moved to the front of the race and held the lead. Stinger Wallace in race 47 was down on power and barely managed to grab the third-place points as Lauren Tregellis from Wichita, Kansas, earned a first place. Second place was Charles Langdon from the medallion class.
Ouch. Almost. Race 25.
Everyone pitched in to help remove the wreckage of race 88. This aircraft made John Crone famous last year and won the 91 Engineering Excellence Award. As the race 88 big sweep was in progress, the good-natured announcer played taps in honor of a great racer, race 88. And to pieces it shall return.
Ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause for a valiant effort by Mike.
The Zap Pace plane starts the AT6 race in round 9, heat 2. The announcer lets them go.
You have a race, gentlemen. You have a race. It looks like the off-run race 68 is first. Right in front of Boyd Hunt in race 3.
Braun race 68, Boyd Hunt in 3, and Ron Smith in race 11, and Frank Gagliardi in race 44 in the back of the pack. And it looks like Ron Smith, race 11, moving up into the second place slot, trying to go underneath. And looks like he did. Underneath race 68 under Ralph Braun. Your leader around pin number 1 is out on the flight line is an unusual. Race 68, Ralph Braun won this one easily. While in the pits, our director interviews Robert Heitkamp and the Red Dog Saloon team. Aircraft. Hey, Tom Carr, who's in charge down there?
Gentlemen, tell me a little bit about what you did out here.
Well, we had a lot of the packing crate left, not much of the airplane, so we thought we'd use that. And we had a T6 engine left over from that crash and a bunch of alternate parts. So we put our ace carpenter to work on it, and in as little as 2 hours, he came up with this totally aerodynamic airplane that we're going to test fly any moment now.
Well, we're pretty impressed out here. What was your part?
Well, I'm only the sponsor and owner of this scene, but I would like to say that it was an inspiration, and part of it is the inspiration brought about by this entire contest starting with last year. And I don't want to say that Alaska has the only spirit. I see a lot of it around here this entire week, and I hope it continues through tomorrow.
Well, that's terrific. Listen, the material cost here has to have been something. Can you tell us a little bit about the amount of money and design that went into this?
Well, it looks like about $4,000 in materials. There's a lot of carbon fiber in there, and there's about 10 cents worth of engineering, and then there's about $2.50 worth of labor. But I don't know. We had it running in the pits and cycled the gear. All we're worried about now is if we can get it to rotation speed.
Of course, that's a pilot talking, not a sponsor.
Well, we'll see if we can get it to qualify for tomorrow. Sam, back to you.
Hey, thanks, Tom Carr and the Red Dog Saloon Racing Team with Robert Heitkamp. In the last round of heats, Mike Adams in race 6 successfully piloted his hot AT6 to a win for his 4th first-place win this weekend. Gentlemen, you have a race. Gentlemen, you have a race. And the first one around that pin up there looks like it was Mike Johnson in the Big Bearcat. And it was neck and neck with race 41, Charles Langdon, and race 10 around the checkered. And still, tip to tip, we've got a race. Charles Langdon, the medallion, invited into race, says, hey, I'm not going to blow my chance. Ken McKenna way out in front with that Ford-powered, obviously, Mike Johnson Ford Bearcat. Kicking the poop out of the heartbeat of America. Kent McKenna up on his wingtip the last time around pylon number 1. And Charles Langdon pushing the throttles forward to get every bit of horsepower, trying to close the gap, and he's doing a good job of it. But will he have enough to close that gap before the checker? Coming up high on top of him, look at this finish. A racehorse finish. Kent McKenna sweating it out. Pulls over the top. Charles Langdon making a mistake. Charles Langdon ending an outstanding try to catch Kent McKenna in race 10. Also, race 35, Dr. John Delk from Sarasota, Florida, was still able to hold on to a third-place spot with race 05, Reno Clark, second, and race 10, first.
Race 9, permission to land right to left.
Holding on to first place and race 10's nickname, Bear Belly, Kent slides her in again.
I didn't think we were going to pull it out there at the last, but I guess we got a little lucky there, so I can't ask for anything more than that. So
That's Randy Defani taking up Gary Steinberg for Model Builder magazine in his race 18 T6. We are into the Sunday noon show, and the crowd has settled in for all the activity, which included the Fresno RC Skydivers. We'll be dumping out the Fresno Flyers dropped 4 radio-controlled skydivers from their twin-engine jump plane. And has been loose. I need somebody to claim it. Here we go. Looks like John Lockwood going to do the catch. And he's got him. How about a round of applause for the Fresno radio-controlled jumpers? They're $25 a piece. All eyes were watching our next act, which was none other than Tom Walker putting his race 20 through the paces with Smoke On. Tom flies to the music called Heavy Fuel. Tom is a great supporter of the unlimited races and entertained us both Saturday and Sunday. Most everyone was watching the noon show, especially when multi-talented Jerry Kitchen was flying. Jerry flew his patriotic salute with Bob McClung's Byron beat Staggerwing to Lee Greenwood's God Bless the USA.
Detroit down to Houston and New York to LA, where there's pride in every American heart, and it's time we stand and say, I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free, and
The top speed on this aircraft is 212 miles per hour at 250 mile an hour in the dive. Power is provided by the trusty Pratt & Whitney R1340 Wasp 9-cylinder air-cooled radio, putting out 600 horsepower. This North American Aviation T6 is fondly and oftenly referred to as the AT6/SNJ Texan, which has more than an interesting history. Coincidentally, 12,000 of these were manufactured in the state of Texas from 1939 through 1953, more than anywhere else in the United States. That's why it does have the name the Texan. And coincidentally, all the flying bases, or the majority of them where the training was conducted for the Texan, was in Texas as well. This was the backbone of the advanced training for the United States, Europe, and Canada in World War II. As Randy was landing his big T6, Tim Smith, our director of photography, was going up for air-to-air video in the Pacer BT-13. Tim's footage was so great that we had to share it with you as he tracks Randy on his left side in race 18. What a beautiful sight. Our ground camera was following the T6 and BT-13 in formation, as well as Tim's camera in the cockpit. This is Madera, and check out the activity down there. The racers definitely were present at Madera. Tim obviously had a great ride, as the video will attest. Tim thanks his gracious pilot as we get ready for the trophy races Sunday afternoon. Crews and pilots were checking the status board to verify their positions. The trophy heats would start 5 aircraft, with 2 standing by as alternates in the event one of the contestants did not start his engine. And of course, there would be some last-minute confirmations between the promoters, Nancy Breedy, Leslie Burnett, and the contest director, Cal Orr. All was well, so let's go racing. The first trophy race was the popular limited T6s. This heat consisted of race 15, 6, 4, 17, and 2, with race 68 and 69 as alternates. Cal Orr was giving instructions to the pilots and crews. The crowd was ready to see some great racing. The signal was given to start engines, and things got very tense as Mike Adams demonstrates during his takeoff with race 6. First out on the hold is Mike Adams in race number 6. In the metallic green checkered T6, he will be turning on the blue light. Oh boy, look out for the adrenaline. Mike recovered quickly and went racing with the big boys. The brave soul out there handling anybody's race at this point, but look at Bruce Brown pull away in race 15. He is trying to shake race 6 off of his tail. Ho, 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 baby. I'm not nervous. I always fly this way. Heading down towards pylon number 2, Bruce Brown in race 15. Still, Mike Adams in race 6. Cliff Adams in race 4 trying to come over the top, but Mike is pulling away. And meanwhile, in the back of the pack,
Looks like race 17 in the 4th place slot and high. Still, Bruce Brown in race 15 and 6 coming under 4 to try to take away that 2nd place slot. Looks like 4 and 6 battling for the 2 position, and that'll probably change again. Still, Bruce Brown in race 15 able to get around pylon 2 first, but boy, has he got the heat on him with race 6 with Mike Adams right underneath him. That completes 4 laps. They have 2 to go. Cliff Adams in race 4 now high and on 3, and in position 4 it still looks like Ken Byron in race 17. And J.R. Wilbur is out there somewhere in race number 2. 88 miles per hour in that last pass. Here we go. Just 5 laps down. This is the trophy race. And Bruce Brown in 15, barely hanging on to a lead. And Mike Adams is putting some tremendous heat on him. And Cliff in the back in position number 3 in race number 4, giving the push. Look at Mike Adams move up on Bruce Brown in 15 as they go around pylon number 2. Anybody's race, and the checkered flag, and Cliff Adams coming up over the top. Look at this race, horse finish. Mike Adams in the 6th, first across. Bruce Brown in 15, and it looks like a 3rd for Cliff Adams. 4th place to the Byron Originals, Ken Bryan in the race 17, and still to finish on the course, J.R. Wilbur in race number 2.
Mike Adams, the consistent winner in the Byron Originals race 6, and Mike can now watch the rest of the races with no pressure. Next up is the Unlimited Bronze Aircraft with race 1, 05, 09, 10, and 11. Race 35 and 4 are the alternates in this race. Jerry Kitchen in the race 1 Red Corsair is first in the air with Reno Clark's race 05 right behind him.
Turning on the yellow light. Mike Johnson Ford from Lancaster, Pennsylvania. I'm sorry.
The Mike Johnson Ford team releases the race 10 Bearcat with Kent McKenna at the controls. Paul Curley scrambles to make the 3-minute window as Dan Santage in race 09 is airborne right behind Paul.
Gentlemen, you have a race. Gentlemen, you have a race. And Ron Gilman pulls the pace plane out of the way and off the course as they dive for pylon number 2 with Reno Clark, first one around the pin. However, Kent McKenna in race 10 is pulled underneath him, and Jerry Kitchen race 1. Paul Curley underneath Kitchen in race 11, beating him around the pylon. Going down the backside, race 10. Still race 10, the big Bearcat with Kent McKenna pushing the Mike Johnson Ford down the chute to complete 1 lap. And it looks like Reno Clark holding the 2nd place slot, trying to keep it away from Jerry Kitchen in race 1 in the Red Corsair, but Jerry wants it all. Reno Clark going over the top of Kent McKenna in race 10. And Jerry Kitchen stacked underneath in the Red Corsair. Now coming to the checker to complete 2 laps. It's any man's race as they go across the line. Kent McKenna in race 10 with the gear door hanging pulls underneath Reno Clark in race 05. Coming down the back chute, it's 05, race 10 in the Super Corsair in race 1. Paul Curley in 11 and in the 5th place slot. It should be Dan Santage in 09. Here we go. First across for 3 laps completed is still Kent McKenna in race number 10. Reno Clark snookered his way past Jerry Kitchen in 05 and is now on the tail of Kent McKenna going underneath for the pass on the backside. McKenna in race 10 has a gear dangling, and I mean dangling. Passing again on the inside. Reno Clark taking it away from race 10, but he's got the power down the chute. Again, Reno Clark outdrives him around the pylon and pulls slightly ahead. McKenna with that big prop, putting a lot of pressure on Reno Clark's tail feathers with 4 laps down. Reno Clark now bending around pylon 2. Underneath him is Kent McKenna. It is a racehorse to the checker. Kent pulling away again in race 10. That's 5 laps down. Going around pin number 1, it stacks up like this. The Mike Johnson Ford Bearcat, race 10 in the first slot. Second slot is still 0-5 with race number 1 trying to take it away. And on the backside in the third, fourth position is race 11 and 0-9. Dan Santich out there on the course somewhere. Gear hanging, but victorious still on the checker. Kent McKenna taking all 6 laps. And looks like race 05 just barely edged out Jerry Kitchen for the number 2 slot. Kitchen occupying number 3 in race 1, race 11 in number 4, and 09 bringing up the rear of the stack. All of those results are unofficial. What a race. Race 10 has no power. Another great save by Kent McKenna. Gosh, he's getting so used to landing with his gear up, it's starting to look good.
Kent kept his first place as Reno Clark in 05 held the second place win, with Paul Curley in race 11 for a solid third. Dan Santich, race 09, finished fourth, and Jerry Kitchen had several pylon cuts, moving him to 5th place.
Okay, Dick Bernard, are you...
As the race 10 crew checks the belly of Belly Bear, we were told Kent took off with a minimum fuel load to make the weight limits, and he simply ran out of fuel at the end of the last lap. What strategy? The Unlimited Silver Race lines up with race 69, 70, 84, 131, and 151. Race 84 and 72 are in the alternate box. First in the air is Paul Black Sr.'s race 131. Don Canick, race 69, is next up, and Ted Burns, race 151, is right on his tail. Duke Crow wastes no time getting race 70 into the air as Brian Kai accelerates race 84 as he moves from the alternate box to replace the stalled race X1.
Has got the slot for the 5th airplane. And that's how the system works. John Elliott saying, you have a race, gentlemen. You have a race. Pace plane is out of the way. Okay, first around the pin is Don Canick in race 69, but that changed immediately. Wow, talk about traffic. Don Canick, race 69, first around pin number 1. But overtaken. Look at the freeway traffic out there. Looks like first one around is Duke Crow in race 70. And he's still first for the first lap. It's Duke Crow, followed by race 84. Brian Kyle. Duke Crow clocked at 136 miles an hour, by the way. Duke Crow completing 2 laps with race 84 right on his tail. And Paul Black Sr. in 131 around the pin. Now coming around again across the start finish to complete 3 laps is still Duke Crow, race 70. Brian Cow in 84. Paul Black Sr. in 131. And Bruce Harler 151. Duke Crow way out in front. And 84, Brian Cow. 5 laps down. Dick Bernard would move out of the way. I can tell you how fast they're going. I can't see the speedometer. And Duke Crow first across the checker and about ready to overtake the field. And picking up the second place slot is race 84, Brian Kyle. Duke Crow takes the money in this race with Brian Kai in race 84 as second. Don Canick was successful in holding on to third as Ted Burns race 151 garners fourth, and Paul Black Sr.'s 131 for fifth place. And race 84 selling in with one gear up. But he's probably going to be okay, just a little dirty.
That's unfortunately what happens with a mid-air. With my teammate, by the way. This was 151, and he was 131. Okay.
The Fast Gold Heat is made up of race 00, 2, 20, 47, and 68, with race 1AZ and 30 as alternates. Stinger Wallace's race 47 reaches for race altitude fast. Cliff Adams opens up his four-cylinder four-stroke, the only one at Madera. Race 00, Don Rice is the one to watch in this race. Don wraps the throttle one more time to make sure all is well as he climbs to meet the pace plane. And 000 airborne, lots of horsepower. Don Albright pushes race 68 to altitude as Ralph Braun gets race 20 into the air. Now taking off, and he'll be turning on the white light. Pilots are permitted to cut across the course to catch it up, and gentlemen, you have a race. You have a race. Diving down on pylon number 2. The race starts when they cross the start-finish checkered tower. 000 was first until 47. Stinger Wallace hit the hammer, and look at the back stretch. Stinger Wallace and 000 banging it out, but it looks like 000 first around pylon number 2. Stinger Wallace up above, edging him out, but underneath, taking it away from him. And neck, the Oriole cookie stack going down to pylon number 1, and the same thing in the back of the pack. Looks like between one of the Ralph Braun airplanes and Cliff Adams in race 2, now moving back to the 4th place slot. Completing two laps, just barely ahead is Stinger Wallace in race 47, and 000 Don Rice putting the burner on him. Stinger going, where in the devil did he get that horsepower? Coming around pylon number 2, looking to close lap number 3 is 000, pulling slightly ahead. Stinger Wallace on top, but cutting high on the inside, wing to wing, going around pylon number 1 and pulling away from him as he pulls down the chute. That was 158 mile an hour on that last pass with 000. We lost the plane out of the race somewhere. Cliff Adams screaming. And 000 still burning it up. I do not know where 47 is. I think he's out on the other side of the dirt. That was a completion of 5 laps. And Cliff Adams trying to take his position back. Cliff Adams working hard underneath. High on top. It looks like your winner. It looks like 68 pulling it away from Cliff Adams. I believe. The race finished with Don Rice, race 00, way out in front, followed by Don Albright in race 68. Third place goes to Ralph Braun's race 20, and fourth place to Cliff Adams in race 2. What a race. Okay, I did not have that main folks.
1:09 from Downey.
The pilots and crews were taking a well-earned break as the race officials were adding up points and writing checks.
W. White, 5944. Peskovich.
Meanwhile, Don Rice's Race 00 crew decided to celebrate a little early. It looks like Don has a pretty good sense of humor, too.
Here. Everybody get a little flow over there.
We're still taking orders.
Right.
Purchase them.
Yeah, we're on our way to Disneyland now. That's right. Jim Miller and Paul Ross built a strong plane, a fast plane, and we've been reliable all week.
Thought you heard your name
can't ask
or
for
your
much more
number.
than that.
They have the
I appreciate the chance they gave me to fly their plane for them, and we had a good time this week.
With your
Feels pretty good.
It looks like Race 00 could also use a champagne bath.
We're going to give the awards away. And the very first for Pilot's Choice. This does not surprise me because this would have been my vote if I could have voted. Pilot's Choice in the unlimited category, Race 88, to the Sea Fury Miller Crone team. Bill Miller, Frank Walters, John Crone. Come on up here. Come on. John Crone is selling pieces to Race 88 as souvenirs. Is there any big enough to autograph?
I'll autograph any little piece of Race 88 if anybody would like to put some money in the cover.
To build a new Race 88. Okay. Okay, Bill, what do you have to say about all this? Bill, don't run off. What do you have to say about all this?
Well, I got a great partner here, along with Mike Elso, who was also a pilot. Very happy about this, and John's got one ready to go again.
So you'll be back. Okay, that's the Miller Crone Race 88 Racing Team Pilot's Choice. Moving on into the T6 category. Could I have a little Dire Straits music, please? For Horn Dog Racing AT6, Tom Walker. Come on up here, Tom. Tom, get up on the stage. Is it true your name really is Tommy Robart? What do you have to say, Tom?
I just want to say thanks to everybody that came up here. I hope Robart came through with our gear this year. I think we did. I can tell you we'll be back. You guys be ready. Horn Dog Racing is where it's at.
Okay, these are the heat monies. For first place, there's $50, and second place, there's $25. We're going to announce it, and then you can pick up the cash at the information booth after the awards.
Okay, we'll do AT6. Well, don't show it to them yet. Let them sweat it out. Okay, third place in the AT6 limited class, race 17, the Byron Originals, Ken Bryant.
Well, I'd just like to thank everybody. We had a splendid time here. Our goal was to come down and have fun, and I think we achieved that. I think everybody that connected with this program, you girls should be especially proud. Fine setup, a bunch of wonderful people, and good luck next year.
Ken Bryant, thank you very much, Ken. Race 17, your third place winner in the AT6 class. Race number 4, in second place for AT6 is Cliff Adams, only he had a Zeno at G62 in this airplane. Well, we think so. Second place, AT6. Come on up, Cliff. Cliff, come on up and we'll get a picture of you up here.
He's the guy that did G6.
And a few words.
It was great. We had a good time. See you next year. Thanks again.
First place slot, race number 6, Mike Adams. In, I believe, the green checkered T6. Mike Adams, first place for the T6 is race number 6. Come on up, Mike. Hold that up, Mike, so they can get a photograph of you. Hold it up, Mike.
That was a lot of fun. That was a great race, and I hope it keeps going, and hope to see you next year.
Mike, we'll be looking for you next year. Thank you very much. Your first place winner in the AT6 class, race number 6, Mike Adams. Okay. Take the money, Mike. Okay, we're working our way from bronze towards the front of the pack. Third place in the bronze. Red P51, race 11, Paul Curley. Come on up. Come on up here, Paul. Hold your trophy up so they can get photographs. Paul Curley, race 11, third place in the bronze. Thank you, Paul. Second place, I love this name. Yellow P51, 05, Reno Clark. Come on down. Come on up, Reno. Say a few words and let them take your picture.
Scared to death, guys. I mostly want to thank my wife, Cindy, over here, and my little guy, and I got the best caller in the world, Bill Crowell. I want everybody to give him a hand. He's been a great help to me. And RC Country Hobbies and Dave's Hobbies in Sacramento were a big help as well. Thank you much, and see you guys next year.
Thank you, Reno Clark, race 05. Reno Clark, second winner in the bronze category, working our way to first place. I think this is the big guy himself. Race number 10, Mike Johnson in the bronze category. Grab that trophy, Mike. Get Kent McKenna up here. Don't forget to grab that check, Kent. For the third place slot, race 69, Precision Eagle, and Carl Goldberg sponsored P51, Don Kanik and Carla, of course, and their 5-month-old Labrador. Bring that dog up here.
Just want to thank Carl Goldberg Models, Futaba Corporation, and John Eaton for being my caller. Thank you very much. Nice races.
Don Kanik and Carla, thank you. With Precision Eagle, Carl Goldberg sponsored P51, race 69, the third place slot in the Unlimited Silver. Now taking that second place position. Race 84 from Classical Racing Team, Brian Kyle. And Rob Wood. Come on up, Rob, Brian. Race 84, second place in this Unlimited Silver.
Well, I want to just thank my crew, who were just very wonderful. Everything just didn't go perfect, but things worked out for us, and we got in the race, and it ran good. I just want to thank all our sponsors who made this all possible for us.
Rob, Classical Racing, how about you, Rob Wood?
I just want to say this is the most exciting thing in RC world right here, and it's getting more exciting every time. The last couple of races, I was wondering whether we were going to make it into the silver, and just by the skin of their teeth, we did. And I just want to say, I want to thank Elaine Murphy, Ken Aldewan, Dave Marson, James George, all the people that helped us out. Yeah? What? Yes, Gary Ware, everybody. I just want to say you're the greatest bunch of people in the world.
And the first place slot in the silver, sponsored by RCD in his P51, race number 70. Where's that old devil? Duke Crow. Come on up here, Duke. Congratulations, Duke. You did a hell of a job, Dave Abbey. Good to have you guys with us in RCD. Duke, I talked to you last night. What do you got to say today?
We had a couple of hell of a good races today.
Boy, I'll tell you, for an old fart, you sure put the hammer down.
Hey, I want to thank Team RCD and all the other guys that helped put that bird back together again. I mean, we worked our butts off. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Dave, you got a couple comments?
Yeah, I'd like to thank everybody on Team RCD for working so hard, and especially I want to thank everyone behind the scenes here who made this race so great for all of us. you represent the hardcore RCers. You watch us have fun and do all the work. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Third place slots occupied. The winner in race 20, Ralph Braun. Race 20, Ralph Braun in the checkered and yellow P51 for the third place slot in the Gold Unlimited. Okay, we'll get him right here. Bring out the Bumblebees out here with the rest of the Braun Racing team. How about a few words with the famous Bumblebees?
Bumblebees, I thought we were from the Corn Belt, and we were just a bunch of yellow jackets or something. That's what we heard anyway. We're powered on precision angle corn, most of it, except for I came through with that Aero 100 to sneak in through there. I guess reliability's got a lot to say for it. And we had a good time. It came last year, got shut out. Came back this year, kind of, everybody said we were loaded for bear. But we wasn't really. We was just come to have fun, and I guess we did.
Well, you did a good time. You guys are really well organized. Your aircraft look good. We're glad to have you, and we certainly want you back at the next race.
Well, we sure hope we'll try to be here.
Okay, Ralph Braun Racing Team. Ralph Braun, the winner, race number 20 in the third place slot for the Unlimited Gold. The color's not going to change. Second place slot, race 68, Don Albright. Where is he? Okay, Don. How about a few words from you?
Well, I got to say this is about the hardest part of the race. I'm glad for Ralph, and he's spent a lot of effort to bring us out here, so I'm tickled we did as well as we did. I'd like to congratulate Don Rice. I think he ran good all weekend. I tickled for him as I am. I mean, I'm tickled that he done as much as I did, so appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, Don Albright, thank you. Hold that trophy up here. Boy, did I love seeing this aircraft run. Whew. I love this plane. First place slot for the Gold Unlimited. 00, Don Rice and Paul Ross in 00, Miss America P51. Come on up here for your pictures, guys. Come on up on the stage so they can photograph you. First place Unlimited Gold, 00.
Plane's flying real well this week. We've had no problems. It's been as reliable as I could want it to be. I want to thank Paul Ross and Jim Miller for letting me fly that beast of theirs. Thank my crewman, Steve Shapirsky, and I want to thank my caller, Don Westergren, for keeping me calm, keeping me tight. We had a lot of fun.
Okay, there you have it. All of your winners.
What a weekend. The racers, crews, workers, and spectators made Madera 92 an event to remember. We leave Madera now to return it once again to a quiet community. Until next year.
Harwell, and I'll be your narrator for the 1990 Southwest Fan Fly held here at Copeland Field in Fort Worth, Texas. Before we get to Fan Fly, let's take a look around the flying field. As you can see, there's quite a lineup of airplanes here. We have everything from beautiful scale airplanes to fabulously flying airplanes, and just some amazing static shots of some planes you'll be seeing up close in detail later on. Now I'd like to introduce to you Bill Fowler.
Hi, my name is Bill Fowler, and on behalf of the Mid-City RC Club, I'd like to welcome you to the 1990 8th Annual Greater Southwest Fan Fly. As you can see, it's hot and dry here in North Texas this time of year. We're probably getting up to about 100 degrees here on the tarmac, and it's taking its toll on the airplanes, believe me. We have some 102 pilots registered, probably about 140 aircraft spread all across the field here, which I'm sure you'll see a lot of them on this video. And on behalf of Prop Wash Video, we'd like to thank you for your participation and hope you enjoy the tape.
And here's one of the best ways to start off any fan fly tape with Mr. Bob Violet himself flying his F-16 camouflage. Next up is a beautiful F-86. I'm not sure who the owner and pilot of this monoplane is, but it does fly well. We've got quite an assortment of airplanes coming up through here, and I think I'm just going to let the planes do the talking for themselves, and you can enjoy the tape just like the rest of us do.
Yeah. How y'all doing this morning?
Here's one of our unusual twin-engine airplanes that was at the fan fly.
It's such a unique airplane. It is, isn't it?
This plane had so much scale detailing, we thought it was misplaced at a scale contest. One of the most beautiful planes there. We had it pegged for a hangar queen, but wait till you see the guy fly this. Not only does it look great, it flies great.
tighten up the plug, Donnie? Yeah, lever tight this time. You rotate it right or left? You rotate it right to left.
When available. Regular 29.
Messing with everything. You got to just look at the area you're doing and make sure you get. All you're trying to do here is get the sand spread. Don't worry about the buffalo. No, I don't know quite.
You'll never catch me.
Then you started backing.
Okay, dweeb. 3 weeks, you better put on your best attacker.
You didn't see my F-16.
just one way to keep from wearing out the tread on your front tire. Oh. Of course, that doesn't do too much for the paint job. Now coming up here is a Supermarine from England, and here's one of the most unusual scale planes we had. Now you're probably wondering, just like everyone else, is this thing really going to fly? And fly it does, and fly very well. Here comes a rather bright P-80, old shooting star. Here's one of the real legends in RC models. This is Colonel Bob Thacker. This is T-38 Talon.
Here's the famous pilot F-16.
Number T-38, flown by Colonel Bob Thacker.
There's almost no plane that can't be modeled. And here's the ultimate by David Hudson. He'll be interviewed by Warner Kopp.
The gentleman next to me is David Hudson from Grand Prairie, Texas. And as you can see, David built a prototype of the F-117A stealth fighter. And to the best of our knowledge, this is the first model of the fighter on the RC circuit. David, how did you come to choose the 117, and what steps did you take to get it to this form? I understand it is not ready to fly yet, but we can't expect to see it next year flying.
Well, I'll tell you what, a man I used to work with, Charles Fleming, he came up with 1/72 scale sketches on it as far as bulkheads and dimensions, and I got a copy of them from him. He was gracious enough to let me use them, and I scaled them up from that. It's about an 8.5, 8 scale, thereabouts. I really don't know. I just blew it up big enough to contain the engines I was going to put in it, the power package. And, well, I got it up, light ply bulkheads with regular, just usual construction methods as far as 1/8 inch ply planking, foam wings with 3/32 skin on them with fiberglass cloth and epoxy resin covering. It's in a flat lacquer right now. There's going to be a coating put on it to protect it and stuff. But it's really just a basic off-the-shelf construction. Nothing fancy. It's just the shape's unusual.
Whose fiberglass cloth did you use?
I used Dan Parsons cloth out of Albuquerque. It's a very nice cloth. It has a real consistent texture to it. I mean, it lays good.
Very good. What kind of an engine do you plan on putting in it?
Two barrel jet fan units with Pico 80s power package.
Since this is so unique and so new, can we expect to see plans on the market sometime?
Well, I hadn't thought about it, but possibly, maybe. If it's going to depend on how it does. You know, if it flies good and everything and it looks promising, you know, I'm not going to say no.
And would you care to give us your phone number for any of our viewers who would like to have more information on this aircraft?
Sure. My area code's 214-264-7574.
Thank you, David. Man, love that smell. Good morning. For Prop Wash Video, I'm Werner Kopp, and we're here at the Copeland Field in Fort Worth, Texas for the Southwest Fan Fly. Standing next to me is Linda Crooks, who's one half of the Crooks Flying Show team. Linda and her husband Dennis fly various aircraft and travel around the country giving shows and doing promotional things. Linda, how long have you and Dennis been working together in model aviation?
Since we got married. About 15 years ago now.
15 years ago. Yeah. And by watching you work together, I can see you each have very specific jobs. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Well, it started with Dennis needed a caller when he flew in competition. And if he was going on the road, I wasn't going to stay at home by myself. So I decided I had to sink or swim, so I learned the ropes. And it just was a matter of what he needed, an extra set of hands. So I learned to lift airplanes and run for radios and things like that first. And then now with the TBM, originally I was riveting and doing things like that. But now primarily when we go up in front of a judge, I time with the jets. Fuel consumption is critical with jets. So my watch and I are inseparable. And I panic if it's not wound. So we do a 5-minute flight. I'm not only giving him time readings, I'm also telling him what the other airplanes are doing in the sky so that no one surprises us by getting a little too close. I also calm him down. If things start getting bad, you know, something's going wrong with the airplane, I can usually sense him tensing. So I try to keep him calm. And on landing, you know, it's kind of like, usually if you let the airplane settle in on its own and don't fight it, you have a good landing. But you have a tendency to overcompensate because you want to fly it, you know. So I'm back there. But to be quite honest, I'm a backseat driver. I'd make a good mother-in-law, I think. You just sit there and you tell him you're too close, you're too far away, you're too this, you're too that, and if it's a good flight at the end, you give him a hug and a kiss and say you do good. You know, it's major moral support and all that. And it works well for a wife to do it because I can read my husband. If another person who is not used to that airplane or is not used to that person is calling for you, they can only give you time readings. maybe where the other airplane is. But over a period of time, a husband and wife, they know each other well enough that without saying a word, you know what they need or what they don't need. So you kind of work that way as a team, and it's fun. People say, do you want to learn to fly? And I say no, because I like working as a team, and if I was flying, then we would be working back and forth, and that just wouldn't work.
That's interesting. Linda, you've brought 4 airplanes this year?
3, and we're flying another gentleman's farm.
With it. Linda, thank you very much for taking time out to talk to us today.
No problem. Thank you very much.
Here's the F-15 Linda was just talking about. It's going to be flown by her husband, Dennis. Now let's let Linda talk about it a while.
Then we also fly the F-15, and that was new to us this year. We've not flown it in the past. It's a real pussycat. I mean, it will do just about anything you ask it to, and be rock solid doing it. And it's just a fun airplane.
Compared to the SR-71.
Yeah. Well, SR-71, the crowd loves it, and so does my husband. He loves flying it. He likes the difficult. He likes the challenge, the mechanical challenge of the Tomcat, the flying challenge of the Blackbird. And then when it comes down to relax and go out there and have fun, the 15 does that. The perfect example, he went out flying at the club field on a Friday night, and he comes home and he says, guess what I was doing? And I says, it's hard to tell. He says, I got into an inverted low-pass chicken contest with a bunch of guys at the field. And they said, oh, you were flying your ugly stick. Maybe his little Dago Red. No, he was doing it with the F-15. And he was having a ball doing it. Now, that's something you don't do with the Blackbird, and you don't do with the 14. So, I mean, it fills that other niche. Yeah. So it rounds it out.
The second one rotating right off the bat.
Is that the short wing or the just like the short? That's the short wing, 40 steering wing.
Well, that's the way this one.
Well, I'm uncertain. What I do is really uncertain.
All right, well, I'll put one of those right there, Rick.
I just didn't.
Hill, what's the deal?
Engine holes, you know.
Here's another well-known pilot. This is Mr. Bob Ferenzi, flying the F-4 Phantom like it was a real one. Bob's forensic again was his F-16 this time. Helper's tweaking the engine in for him. He's making sure it's done exactly right. When Bob flies, it's usually pretty quiet. Everybody's trying to watch what he's doing. He puts on a very good show for everyone.
Oh, yeah.
One of the nicer landings you'll see with an F-16 out there. Very good job, Bob. Owned by Ralph Braun, held duplicate of his full-size citation, which is owned by Ralph's company. The plane will be flown by Dennis Crooks. Now let's hear from Ralph about the airplane.
Tail is a 114-inch wingspan, weighs 32.5 pounds. It's fiberglass fuselage, foam core wings laid up, and K&B finish on it. It's got OS 65s on it with Tom Cook's fan units on it, and Vision Airtronics radio on it, and an eight-channel radio. And it's really done very, very well. That was the 12th flight that we just put on it here this morning, and it's coming along. Every flight seems like we just iron out a couple more bugs on it, and if someday we ever decide we want to kit it or whatever, we think we'll have the CG and all the throws and everything else figured out, because we've done a lot of testing with it since we've flown it.
Flying 56 and you're not going to get it out of the car today or whatever, you need to that's frequency 56. Just like that.
And now for some of the ultimate in scale planes. This is Dennis Cook's famous F-14. The most amazing thing about this airplane is it swings the wings in flight. I don't know of any other model who's done this particular option yet. Watch him swing back as he does his maneuvers. Truly an amazing airplane flown by an amazing pilot. There they go, totally tucked in. Now the wings are extended again for landing.
I'm here with Colonel Bob Thacker, and Colonel Thacker has brought the Orion X-13. This aircraft is featured in the, is it the September issue or the October issue of Scale Radio Control, Scale RCM?
Yeah, it's in the October issue, I think, of Scale RCM.
Colonel Thacker, you've been around aviation a lot of years. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
Well, I just love to talk about myself, really. I've been in aviation since about 1926 when I started modeling. And along about 1939, I ran out of money going to college, so I went into the cadet program, and I was commissioned in the summer of '40. And there's a couple of interesting things. You remember the B-17s that were landing at Pearl Harbor during the attack from the States? Well, Lieutenant Thacker was at the command of one of those that landed at Hickam. And it was a very exciting morning, as I remember.
Yes.
You didn't know that,
yes.
did you?
No, I didn't.
Well, enough of those. I was in 3 wars and all this, but the big thing is models today.
Yes.
Now look at the fun that you can have with this thing. This is to be, I hope, a vertical takeoff model airplane. I'm flying it now in the conventional mode, but just for the purists, Ryan designed and built this in contract for the Air Force, and then it flew vertically in 1957. And this particular model is 2 inches to the foot of the real one. So this is 21 inches in wingspan. The uniqueness about this airplane that I'm a little proud of, it has 1 to 1.3 weight to thrust. In other words, I've got more thrust than weight, which is unique of any of these airplanes here today. The airplane weighs 8 3/4 pounds, and I've got 11.5 pounds of thrust. The airplane will go vertical, but at the present time, I don't have vertical thrust control. The airplane will go up, but I don't have the dynamics set up in this airplane. So I have a breadboard mock-up that I brought with me that I'm practicing with to get the feel of vertical takeoff.
So can we expect sometime in the future to see this particular model or one like it doing vertical takeoff?
That's a tough question to say yes or no. The intention is yes. The actuality, problematical.
Well, thank you very much, Colonel Thacker. For Prop Wash Video, I'm Werner Kopp.
Piper with
Let's hear from Linda Crooks on the SR-71 flown by Dennis.
We also fly the SR-71 Blackbird. That's our go-fast airplane. Unique. It's an airplane you can never relax with, because the moment you do, it will bite you every time. It's not unstable, it's just demanding. You know, you don't dare relax, because if just a little thing goes wrong, it becomes something that is major. You know, something small for the F-15 or you know, a single engine jet, you know, an A4.
Video Enterprises is proud to present the Arizona Jet Rally 1990. I'm Terry Voren, and I'll be your host for the next 37 minutes while we look at the wonderful world of radio-controlled ducted fans. Our host of the Arizona Model Aviators. It's November 18th and 19th. We're at their beautiful Spook Hill flying site in East Mesa. Everyone's here. The pit crews look like they're ready. The jets look like they're ready. So let's kick the tires and light the fires. First up today, Bob Gringa and his little fan trainer. This is a plans-built airplane and has a TD-049 for its power plant. Bob had a lot of fun, and the crowd really liked these little aircraft. I don't believe he left the area of the field his whole flight. And here we see his landing. We told Bob we liked the fifth landing best. This is Austin Goodwin's A4 Skyhawk. It's a jet hanger hobbies kit. Has a jet model products fan with an OS 77. Looks like the wheels are up. He's got her wound out, and there's a nice aileron roll to the right. A beautiful blue Skyhawk won an award for the best McDonnell Douglas jet at this rally. There you see him in a hard right bank and a pretty 4-point roll. Well, he's got the wheels down. That means the aircraft's dirtied up. He'll break in over the threshold of the field, pull all the power off, and let the A4 settle in for its landing. That's not the speed brake you see falling out there. There's a gear door. Austin glued it back on and went up again later.
All right, we got a fire lit down here.
This is Brian O'Rourke and pit crew. Brian's got a beautiful Aggressor done here in the Soviet blue-white camouflage paint scheme. This is a Bob Violet model. He has a KBV 72 engine in it, and he says it's logged over 102 flights. Looks like he's got the power up on his takeoff roll. There he is. He's cleaned up the airplane. The wheels are up, flaps are up. And Brian here is not in trouble. He's showing you that even at low speed with the aircraft all dirtied up, it flies just fine. And there he goes, a nice 4-point roll. Brian doing a good job. He had a good time all weekend. There he's got it in the corner. And he's going to show you some of the vertical capabilities of the aircraft. He'll do a vertical figure 8. There he comes around. He'll pull over, pulling up here to come around in level flight. And a nice vertical 8 showing you the power of the airplane. All right, looks like Brian's about finished. He's got his wheels down here. He's coming around from the southeast, leading the speed off the aircraft as he can. Again, over the threshold of the runway. And let her down nice and gentle. Beautiful job by Brian O'Rourke. This is Dave Reichardt's MiG. It's done in a very rare yellow and red Pakistani trainer colors. This is a Russian MiG. This is a Byron's kit. It's running a Rossi 81 with a Byr fan. Dave does have retracts in the aircraft, but he's been having a little bit of problem with them, so he's elected to leave the wheels down. But he'll show us some aerobatics. A nice aileron roll to the left. And a big slow roll there for us. It looks like we may have had a wind change there. He's coming in from a different direction than he took off. He looks like he did all right. Stays on the runway. This is Mick Green's TA4J. It's a modified A4. Dynamax fan in it with an OS 77. And there's the A4. And he's down in pretty good shape. This is George Miller's custom RC aircraft T-38. The T-38 is a familiar sight in the skies over Arizona, as Williams Air Force Base is not too far south of us, and they fly the T-38 as their basic trainer. And George doing a nice job with the T-38. And we have a quick shot here of Alan Weiss and his Byron's F-16 and the beautiful red, white, and blue paint scheme. His Rossi 81 with the Byr fan. There we are over by the concession stand. Looks like people are loading up on the goodies. This is Jim Whitney's F-18 done in a camouflage paint scheme. We had a crosswind to deal with most of the weekend, and the crosswind seemed to be getting to Jim a little bit. The real narrow scale type gear on this F-18 makes it a little bit of trouble to handle anyway, and the crosswind seemed to be eating him up. I believe Jim tried again later and finally got her airborne. And there's Ron Gilman showing Warner what one looks like coming down the pipe. You have to recognize this airplane. The only award this airplane hasn't won in the last year and a half or so probably is an Oscar. Ron may be working on that. He was the big winner at our meet. There's the pretty F-86 peeling off its extended fuel tanks, and they'll float to the ground. The F-86 is a Bob Violet kit. He's flying a KBV-82 in this particular airplane. There he is. He's got the tanks off, the airplane cleaned up. He's going to put it in the corner to show us the F-86.
163 miles an hour.
There he is settling in for landing, and please note everything's hanging out on this airplane. All the flaps are down, the speed brakes are out. And when you get up real close, it has to be one of the prettiest scale models anyone has ever seen. Ron Gilman with his F-86F. This is J.T. Scott with his Enforcer. It's a Balsa USA kit, and J.T. says this is my version. J.T. did some real good flying with this airplane, and then he decided to show us some of his experimental high-speed landing techniques. The pictures will speak for themselves.
About getting everything you can out of the 049.
Hey, it ended up on its wheels, right? And JT says that's all that counts. Amazingly, the aircraft sustained very little damage. JT lived to get to fly another day. This is Jerry Vlander's little fan trainer. Again, this is an 049 powered fan, and I don't believe Jerry really ever left the confines of the pavement either. Here's Jerry bringing the little fan trainer in for a landing. Beautiful little blue F-18, Bill Olmsted's model. This is a Bob Parkinson's kit. Rossi 81 with a Biro fan. He squibbles around a little bit there in the crosswind. Again, the narrow gear not helping in this case. But he gets the aircraft cleaned up, brings it in, and he's going to show you a low pass. And believe me, that was low enough. If there'd been a pencil on the runway, he wouldn't have made it. Again, he'll try that low pass, but he'll settle her down about 3 feet for you there. Bill Olmsted and the beautiful F-18. All right, it looks like Bill's through here. He's got the wheels down, brakes over the threshold, and a beautiful landing. Very nice, Bill. This is another Bill. This is Bill Wentz Sport Mirage. Again, this has a scratch-built type aircraft with an Enforcer wing with a Biro jet and an OS-91. Boy, those pit crews have a hard life, don't they? That's really tough. There's some of the Arizona Flying Eagles aircraft. They're an official AMA show team, and they put on a real nice show for us during the half times each day. Looks like Bob Violet getting ready with his F-16C. This is a gray and green camo aircraft. There's Bob stomping on his transmitter. Just kidding. He's pumping up the air for the retracts. Looks like they've got her ready to go. He'll taxi the F-16 down to the far right, turn her around, and let her do her stuff. Lets go of the brakes, brings the power up, and Bob Violet's flying. Of course, this is a Bob Violet model. We wouldn't expect him to fly much else. It's a KBV-82 in this with a Viajet fan. There he's got the aircraft all cleaned up. There's a familiar silhouette, beautiful F-16. Some of the Iraqi spectators have seen that silhouette recently. There's a nice slow roll to the right. Again, diving out of the sky, building up speed. Bob was able to squeeze 187 miles an hour out of this particular aircraft this weekend. Sunday afternoon, we had a radar gun out there, and some of the high-speed boys got out and made some speed runs. Here he's showing you some of the vertical capability, pulling the F-16 around into a loop. There again, that familiar silhouette, boring out of the sky, building up speed into the vertical, and a point roll up, and it looks like he's done. He's got the gear down, and he'll settle that F-16 in real pretty down there. Look at that. Nice job, Bob.
Easy to see, easy to follow.
This is Charlie Beverson's P-80. Looks like he's got it ready to go. And immediately you can see there were problems. They got a few turns around the field out of her.
And looks like the P-80 settling in here. Calm down.
The peanut gallery was divided on whether it was tail heavy or just too much elevator throw, and we never did make up our minds. But they finally got her settled down and got her back on the ground. They had to just take a little walk out there into the desert. This is Dorian Anderson, boring a hole in the sky with that beautiful F-86. It's done in a red and blue paint scheme. It's got a Rossi 65, and it's a jet hanger hobbies kit from the Turbax 3 fan. We'll watch Dorian cheat that crosswind a little bit there. Come in. As he taxis up, you can get an idea of the magnificent paint scheme on the beautiful F-86 of Dorian Anderson.
Get your name on the list. Yeah, 13B.
This is the F-15 Eagle. It's done in gray, owned by Clay Millfield. The aircraft was once owned by Roy Orbison. We asked Clay how he got it, and he said, oh, a trade here, a trade there. He taxied the big F-15 out, and I believe they had a wind change. He had to go down to the other end and turn it around. Sure enough, now he's from left to right. It's got two OS 77s, Byron fans in it, one of two twin-ducted fan aircraft at the meet. This is a very large airplane, and its speed is deceptive. It's cooking along there pretty good. Clay Millfield with his F-15 Eagle. There's Clay showing you the speed brakes and the regular brakes on the wheels. Brings the aircraft to a halt and taxis her back to the pits. Gary Kurtzman getting ready to take off with his Bob Violet Viper, KBV 72 for an engine, and the note says it's box stock. Well, that was quick, wasn't it? He turned 174 miles an hour in the speed contest. Getting ready to take off here is Dennis Coates with his F-8 Crusader in gray and white. It's manufactured by Custom RC Aircraft. He's running a Rossi engine in this with a Byra fan. This was one of two F-8s at the meet. Both of them flew beautifully. Tom Livingston getting ready to go here in his Byron's F-16 with a brown-on-brown paint scheme. He's got an OS-77, it says, for a power package, and there he's up and down pretty quick there. A beautiful F-16. There, looks like they're still up there. Yeah, I'd say they're still up there. Yeah, here's one down here. This is Mick Green's T2 Buckeye. You don't see many of these around, but it's a beautiful flying airplane. He's got a Pico 80 with a Dynamax fan. Takes her up, pulls the wheels up, and lets her out. As you can see, the aircraft very stable, very quick. I believe Jim McCarter was flying this for Mick today. There he's got her settled down here. Get it over the threshold. Mick Green's T2 Buckeye. There's Fred Hinken. They're getting the engine tweaked out here on Jim McCarter's F-18. This is a beautiful black and white NASA paint scheme on this particular aircraft. OS-91 with a Dynamax. This was a Spirit jet at one time. I believe DCU now manufactures this particular aircraft. And yes, they would pick this landing to show, huh, Jim? Hey, that guy's taking off the wrong way. Wait a minute, what's going on? Where are you going with that thing? Oh, just kidding. If you look real close, you'll find out that thing has wires on it. It looks like a Kafir. Yeah, it's really Bob Reynolds out there with the handle in his hand. Bob Reynolds, the AMA Associate Vice President from Tucson. He came up to show us some ducted fan flying with the control line. Looks like Snoopy's ready to go. He's riding in Charlie Sauer's Predator. He's got a Rossi 81 and a Dynamax in this Subsonics Predator. Taxis it out there. Points her down the white line, pours the power to her, and away you go.
We have a correction on it.
And it looks like Charlie's about ready to call it a day here. And he gets it down. Wasn't beautiful, but serviceable. Anyone you walk away from is what they say. There's Colonel Bob Thacker with his Miller T-38. It's powered by a Hurricane fan. This is 12-pound weight. Bob says it's very stable. Doesn't let any grass grow under that taxi run. Puts her down the white line. Reaches flying speed. Rotates the T-38 in the sky and cleans it up. Bob did a wonderful job flying this T-38 all weekend, and everyone enjoyed it a whole lot. This is our Intrepid CD's entry into the contest. This is called a Fan Hawk. Bob designed the airplane, and I think the Starhawk people are going to get this particular aircraft as an ARF. Everything's out on top where it's easy to get to. I had a chance to fly this airplane the day before the meet. Enjoyed it very much. Flew much like the stick models. And looks like Bob's done. You'll let the Fan Hawk settle in, or Jet Hawk settle in there. There we go. Bob Ruff.
Dynamic Impact Engineering, Jet Hanger Hobbies, Jet Model Products, Report.
Here's another F-86. This is Steve Cantrell's. He says he's got a K&V 82 in it, Turbax 3 fan, and there he goes. He's airborne. There were 4 or 5 of these pretty blue F-86s there. We'll try and keep them all straight for you here. Just to picture a few of some other aircraft that were out there. At the halftime show, we had Gilbert Reese come out with a helicopter. He did a helicopter demonstration for us. Now, Gilbert's kind of like the Bumblebee. Nobody's told him he can't do these things yet, so he just keeps on doing them. There's a loop with a pretty little helicopter. And he liked that one so well, he's going to do another one for us. Looks like Gilbert's done. He'll turn this around, back it into the garage for us here. There you go. Everybody had fun at the halftime. They got to come out on the field and view all the aircraft. Seemed to enjoy the Arizona Flying Eagles and the helicopters and the control liners. Here we have another F-16 getting ready to go. This is Harry Wood's F-16. And you'll see something special about it. There it is. Harry says it has smoke sometimes. Well, it did a real good job this weekend for us. You can obviously see the great smoke trail and nice aileron roll to the right. Harry did a good job for us all weekend. Yeah, he'll go around and take another look. Bleed a little more speed off of her this time. Settle in a little closer to home and put the F-16 to rest. There you go. And she's down. This appears to be Paul Stinberg's little FJ3. It's a 25 size aircraft. I think Paul put in the most flights for the 2 days. He was always up in the air with the economical little F-86. Did a wonderful job with it. Flew it around. You're about to see a landing here. You won't believe it, I'll tell you. We'd like to do it just like this every time. There's Ken Thornton getting ready to go with his Byron's MiG. This is done in the familiar Russian red paint scheme. He'll taxi her down and take it up. Most of you know Ken from KB's modeling. Ken says the company built the plane for him. Got an OS-77 with a biro fan in it. And there's a nice pair of aileron rolls to the right. I think he flamed out here. He's having to land downwind. He got her settled down, brought her back in and saved her. And he had many good flights in a pretty MiG all weekend. There's the Intrepid pit crews hard at it. She's saying, but Dad, you told me I could fly this time. There's some more of the Delta Wing aircraft that were there. This is Brian O'Rourke's other aircraft, his other entry for the weekend. This is a Viper by Bob Violet. It's got a KBV-82 in it. And as you can see, when he dived down out of the sky, he was turning high in the 180s there. That's Brian O'Rourke with his yellow Viper. Here's another Violet Viper. This one's owned and flown by Kent Nogi. Kent held the speed record for the weekend. Sunday afternoon, he cranked this puppy up to 200 miles an hour. There he is taking off, got it cleaned up, and you can see it wasn't that easy to keep up with. And in case you're wondering if Mr. Murphy and his funny little law showed up at this meet, well, of course, he's at most of them. Here's Mr. Murphy showing you anything that can go wrong will go wrong. To you novices out there, this is known amongst the fraternity of flyers as a touch and splat. And that is not the demise of this aircraft, because this particular airplane was put back together and flown again just a few hours later. I didn't say anything there for a minute because what you just saw defies description. But again, this is why we have the safety nets at the field, to protect the other pilots as they stand out on their boxes. We believe the steering went south on this particular aircraft. He was unable to control its directional stability on the ground. He made an attempt to miss the nets, but that was about it, just an attempt. And in the world of RC, that's known as re-kitting an airplane. He turns to his pit crew and says, "Boy, I hate it when that happens." Here's Harry Wood's other entry into the meet. Harry brought this twin-engine Citation. Again, this is one of two twins that were at the meet. Harry bought this particular airplane from our CD, Bob Ruff. Made him an offer he couldn't refuse down at the Southwest Fan Fly. Harry took it home, put the Disney paint scheme on it, and brought it to show us. Looks like he's about got it ready to go there. Yeah, they got both the fires lit here, and they'll take her out, off for us. Again, this is Harry Wood with the Cessna Citation in the Walt Disney paint scheme. There's Harry, a model of concentration as he watches his airplane fly. He's got her settled in there for a real nice landing. Kept it on the runway for us. Very nice, Harry. This is George Miller's F4 Phantom. George bit some real sky there, got the airplane up, seemingly had it settled down. The engine started pouting a little bit. As he flew around, the engine finally totally went south. George did everything he could to get back to the runway, but as you see, he ended up about 60 feet short. Amazingly, there wasn't a terrible amount of damage to this aircraft. Obviously, the right side's going to have to be rebuilt, but George will be back with the big, beautiful F4 Phantom next time. You can bet on that. Well, it looks like our time's up. The weekend's come to a close. The trophies have been handed out. We'd like you to know that everyone had a good time. The pilots said they had a wonderful time and they'd for sure be back. We're going to be doing this again November 16th and 17th, 1991. So the Arizona Model Aviators would like to invite you to come down to Arizona in the fall of '91 and enjoy with us the wonderful world and sport radio-controlled model airplanes. This is Terry Voren for Prop Wash Video Enterprises, thanking all those wonderful men and their flying machines, and saying until next time, goodbye.